Hello.
Hello.
It is side piece time. I'm Megan.
I'm Kara.
And this is the Witches Magic
Magic Murder and Mystery podcast.
This is the first recording day we've had since before my vacation, and we have just forgotten how to do everything.
Talk, function.
We don't know how any of the equipment works anymore.
Be normal human beings.
Well, we've always struggled in that department.
We really have.
It's fine.
We really have.
Something vibrated.
Huh?
See? We don't know.
What?
My phone's over there, so it's not me.
What? I think it's my iPad.
Okay. Did you know that someone on the Facebook group posted a message and she was like, where do I find the side pieces? And I was so confused because I was like, how is she listening to the full episodes and not getting the side pieces? And then it hit me that we don't put the side pieces on YouTube.
Yep.
And this particular listener, hey, Brittany, only knows us from YouTube.
Yeah,
which
sorry, guys.
I just didn't know that was possible.
I
I don't
know.
know why it never occurred to me.
I honestly am hardly ever on YouTube unless it's to like see tips and tricks on things that I am doing job-wise. Yeah. So I just never thought to like look for these
I'm
things.
thrilled to death that that's a thing.
That's so much fun.
What I'm going to do is, starting with this side piece, every Tuesday I'll post the side pieces too. But we're not going to put the video. It'll just be audio only.
Yes.
But that way you'll be able to listen to it.
Yeah.
And then we'll also add gradually the older side pieces. Mm-hmm. So eventually they'll all be up there too. And then going forward, you should be able to listen to everything you want on YouTube without going through the podcast app if you don't want to.
Yes.
So thank you for bringing that to our attention, because I just would never
had no
that.
idea.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Today
we
have a mystery.
A mystery for your side piece.
For my side piece. All right. I think this is so interesting. This may be a longer side piece than usual because I couldn't stop investigating.
Can't stop, won't stop.
So we got 2 different messages from listeners about folklore surrounding a mysterious ghost light in their towns.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So there are 2 different messages from 2 different people in 2 different towns, but the same ghost light description. So I dug into it a little.
Yeah.
The first one is the Saratoga brag light. And this one came to us in an email from Kim. Here's her email. Okay, so I'm from Livingston, Texas, a small town in southeast Texas. I've recently found y'all's podcast, and I love it, in all caps.
All caps.
I never write into anyone, but thought you all might like this cool mystery from around here. It's in the neighboring town of Saratoga. Legend has it that while they were building the railroad in the town, one of the workers lost his head and still haunts the road with his lantern looking for his head.
It's like Kentucky's Headless Saint.
Yes. We call it the brag light, and if you've seen the light, you know how scary it is. It's called the brag light because that's the road it's on. She didn't say that in the email, but I'm just letting you know. They're not bragging, but they should.
But they had it, yeah.
They could. It's made our cameras lose its charge and made our car turn off. It's been investigated by Unsolved Mysteries, and it's in ghost storybooks as well.
Ooh.
Some say it's natural gas that we're seeing or headlights from oncoming cars. But if you've seen it, you know. Just something for y'all to look into maybe. Love the show. It's one of my faves. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks so much.
So basically, this ghost light is a light that appears at random on Bragg Road in Saratoga, Texas during the night. Okay. People say the light appears almost every night. It's a pumpkin-sized orb that floats in the distance. And even if
That's not going to be a headlight. Pumpkins are big.
I know. And if you chase after it, you can't ever catch up to it.
Ooh.
It's white.
It's the will of the wisps.
Oh, I didn't know I'd never heard of that before. But yeah, I'll get to that in here.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the will-o'-wisp. Okay. So anyway, it's white or light blue, and some say they've seen it change color to green or yellow.
Ooh.
It disappears as you get close to it, and some have said that it shoots up into the sky.
Ooh.
Bragg Road is an 8-mile stretch of dirt road that was once a railroad spur, which I had to go look up. I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but it's the short part of a railroad that branches off and dead ends from the main track. And it's now maintained as a park by the county. Oh. So legend has it that the light belongs to the ghost of a railroad employee who was decapitated in a work accident, like Kim said.
Oh my gosh.
And that he now walks the road every night carrying his lantern, searching for his head forever.
Oh, man.
Or there is another legend about a bride who disappeared after her wedding. She went for a walk and never returned.
Like the corpse bride.
And the groom picked up a lantern and went looking for her, never giving up until the day he died. And that one, I'm like, I don't understand that legend. It doesn't make any sense. Did he just walk and walk and walk until he died? I don't get it.
Or did he go
like the railroad one better.
Did he go out every day looking?
The road itself is straight and lined with tall trees that create like like a natural
canopy
tunnel kind of with like the trunks and the leaves and the branches overhead. So that makes it really dark at night.
I love that.
I do too. For people who don't buy into the ghost part of the ghost light, there are other theories about what the light might be. Some people say it's headlights or taillights from cars passing on the adjacent highway. And there's also the theory that it's like swamp gas or a similar natural occurrence.
Gotcha. That
is referring to a mysterious phenomenon known as the will-o'-the-wisp. And Kara, because she is amazing, already knew about it. The will-o'-the-wisp is a long documented natural occurrence where certain gases emitted in a swamp are combusted, creating a cool blue flame. The phenomenon has been long documented in wetlands all across the world, and the appearance of fairies, ghosts, and spirits have all been chalked up to the will-o'-the-wisp. Mm-hmm. Those who have seen the will-o'-the-wisp throughout history all say that it looks like a lantern bobbing back and forth as if it was being carried by a person. Mm-hmm. Many say the same thing about the Saratoga light, which explains why both theories about the light involve a ghost carrying a lantern.
Yes.
The will-o'-the-wisp, this is your science lesson for today.
I love it so much.
Is caused by the decomposition and organic decay of phosphorus and methane, which can combust when mixed with oxygen. The combustion creates a cool flame, so it does not release heat, and that explains the blue color.
Yep.
The reason it seems to move away is because, like, as you move closer, you kind of like agitate the air around it, which causes the gases to move. It's like a candle in the breeze. Yeah. At this point, I was like, okay, but this is a dirt road in Texas, which doesn't sound swampy to me. I tried Googling everything I could think of to figure out if Bragg Road was a swamp, but I couldn't get anywhere. So I just emailed Kim again. I was like, Kim, listen,
tell me more.
I'm trying to figure this out. And she said, yes, it's a swampy, marshy area. And she's heard this theory about the will-o'-the-wisp, but like she said, those of us who've seen the light know better.
But what if that's the decomposition under the ground of those bodies?
Of the railroad worker?
Yep.
Well, wait till I finish. Because there's like, it's weird.
Okay,
so I personally am more inclined to believe the people who've actually seen it, since I've never seen it.
Right.
And the articles I read about the will-o'-the-wisp said that it's not something that's been deeply studied by scientists, and it's only been recreated in a lab a handful of times. Apparently, most of the research about this phenomenon comes from 19th century observations.
Okay.
What if that's just something somebody made up?
What's our guy that was a polymath? What was his name?
Raffinus.
Yeah, what if he came up with that?
He probably did.
He probably
came up with a lot of things.
Yeah, he did.
Then, so that's the Saratoga Bragg light.
Okay.
So put that on hold.
Yes.
In your brain for a minute. Then we got a voicemail on Anchor from a listener named Rachel.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know we could do that, and then we got that,
and I'd forgotten about it.
It was so fun.
So let's tell you all that real quick.
Yes.
If you listen to us on Anchor, so you guys know, since you've heard our commercial 870,000 times, Anchor sponsors our podcast, so it's a podcast production app, but it's also, you can use it as a podcast listening app. Yeah.
Like Marco Polo.
So if you listen to our podcast on Anchor, there is a thing where you can leave us a voicemail. So, if you don't want to email us, you don't want to message us on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you can go to Anchor and actually talk. And it just sends us the voicemail like any other voicemail.
Yes.
And if you heard us in our last full episode complaining about voicemails, just know that doesn't apply to you guys.
Yeah, no. Like, we can see who you are leaving us a voicemail.
Yeah. I know that you're not calling to tell me about my car warranty or whatever.
Yeah.
I just think it's fun, and it was fun to hear Rachel's voice. So, Rachel, thank you for being the first person to voicemail us.
It's so fun.
Okay, so Rachel's voicemail mentioned a ghostly light in the woods in Arkansas, and that you have to go out there and turn off your headlights to see it. And she says that her sister did it and swears that it's real. So when I got that voicemail, I remembered the email, and I was like, oh, I bet it's all the same place. But it's not. So Rachel's in Arkansas. Kim was in Texas.
Yes.
Okay? So Rachel didn't say this was specific name of this light, but I did a little research, and I found 2 in Arkansas.
Ooh.
There's the Crosset light and the Girdon. I meant, as always, I meant to look this up before I started.
Yeah. We're so
good.
The
Girdon ghost light. I'm pretty sure the Crosset light is the one that Rachel's talking about, but I'm going to talk about both anyway because they're similar. And also this whole thing is just interesting.
Right.
So the Girdon, light is located in Girdon, Arkansas. And that's about 75 miles south of Little Rock.
Okay.
The light is outside of town and along a stretch of railroad tracks.
Ooh.
This light, and I think this is true of all the lights I'm talking about in the side piece, is a real thing. Like, the mystery is not, is there a light?
Yeah,
it's
people have
what
seen it.
Is the light?
Yeah, what's happening
What's
here?
causing it? The Girdon light has been seen on television and photographed by tourists. Unsolved Mysteries came to town to document it back in 1994. Would you like to know what the legend is to explain the light?
Yes, please.
Do you want to guess?
I don't know.
I'll give you a hint. The location is still in use by railways, and the way the light moves has been described as the way a lantern looks when a railway worker carries it.
Oh. Like same location and everything in comparison.
So the legend for this one can actually be backed up by historic records. Like, we know that, like, the legend that's tied to this is accurate. In 1931, William McLean, a Missouri Pacific...
Oh, we have a name.
Yes.
Okay.
A Missouri Pacific Railroad foreman fired Louis McBride. Some sources say the argument was because McBride had sabotaged a section of track and caused a derailment. Others say McBride was asking for more hours and McLean wouldn't give it to him. Whatever happened, McBride killed McLean.
Oh my gosh.
A 1932 article from an Arkadelphia paper in Arkansas states that McBride told the sheriff that he killed McLean because McLean accused him of being the reason that there was a train accident a few days prior, which I think is referring to the derailment.
Right, yeah.
Either way, McLean was beaten to death with a railroad spike.
Ooh.
And McBride was later sentenced to death by electrocution.
Oh.
And the Girdon light was actually first documented shortly after he was executed in the 1930s. Right?
Yep.
So the legend here is that the light is McLean haunting the tracks and carrying the same lantern he would have carried for work.
I love this.
I know. So it's not like the decapitated head thing, but it is still like a railroad worker who is haunting the railroad. Mm-hmm. There are other theories about the light, like other local legends, but that's the only one that's backed up by an actual documented historical event.
Yeah.
But another theory is that a railroad worker fell into the path of an oncoming train and he was decapitated. So just like the Saratoga light, there's not a specific name to go with this railroad worker.
But still.
But it's not out of the realm of possibility that a railroad worker could have been killed there. One of the articles I read said it was pretty common for railway workers to be injured or even killed. So it's possible that one was decapitated. So it's the same legend where it's like he's searching the track for his head. This light cannot be seen from the highway. It's a 2.5-mile hike to get to the place where people can see it. Oh. It is white blue in color, but sometimes appears more orange. Ooh. It sways back and forth and moves around. Everything I read about the appearance and movement of this light matches the Saratoga one.
It mimics it. Okay.
And like the Saratoga one, people like to say the light is just head or tail lights from cars on the nearby highway. So here's the thing. Historians say that the light has been written about and spoken about since before the highway was there. Ooh. Also, this one's been like really studied by people around it. So a 1980s Arkansas Gazette article says that the nearest interstate to the track is about 4 miles away and a large hill stands in between the tracks and the interstate. So if the light was caused by passing headlights, it would have to be refracted up and over the hill to be visible on the other side. Oh gosh, yeah. Dr. Charles Lemming is a professor of physics at Henderson State University, and his students did many observations of the light. And one impressive find was that when the light was viewed through filters, the lights never polarized. And this is important because if the light were a mirage, like if it didn't really exist, then it would polarize. Right. So the light is something. Yeah. There's also a theory that suggests stress on the quartz crystals underneath Girdon causes them to emit electricity and produce the light. Ooh. They call this the Piezoelectric Effect. Wow. Yep. The theory is that the New Madrid fault. I think it's New Madrid, even though I want to say New Madrid. It's also the same fault that runs under Kentucky. Oh, yeah. That they say is going to be like the big one day. Yeah. I used to be in 5th grade.
Terrified of it? Terrified.
Yeah. That there was going to be an earthquake any minute. Anyway, the theory is that the New Madrid fault, which runs through this area, puts intense pressure on the crystals and squeezes them together, which causes them to develop a charge and put off a spark. My issue with that is, like, it doesn't sound like a spark from anybody who's ever described it.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not just like a quick beam of light.
Mm-hmm. Unless the spark ignites something else in the air and it just doesn't
like
go on to
explain
explain
or
that.
Something in there. Yeah, but why would it be like all of these, like pumpkin shaped?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know.
So there's a similar light with a similar story in Cross It. And like I said, I think this is the actual one that Rachel was talking about in her voicemail. And for what it's worth, Cross It has lots of quartz too.
Oh, okay.
Outside of Cross It, Arkansas, where old railroad tracks used to be, there's an unexplained light that's been consistently seen since the early 1900s. The light floats 2 to 3 feet above the ground, but is also said to move into the treetops and sometimes side to side. It disappears when you walk toward it, and it will reappear the same distance away. So just like the others, you can't ever really get close to it. It ranges in color from yellow to orange to blue or green. Guess the legend.
Railroad worker. Deceased.
He lost his head in an accident in the early 1900s and walks the tracks to find it. So just like the others, people try to say this is just car lights, but like I said, it's been seen since the 1900s, and cars weren't real common in the area back then.
Yeah.
And also, like the Saratoga light, some people say it's swamp gas or that will-o'-the-wisp phenomenon. Right. So the quartz thing was interesting to me because it was mentioned for both of the Arkansas lights. So then I tried to figure out if there was quartz in Saratoga. Texas. The only thing I could find was this U.S. Geological Survey from 1911 called Geology and Underground Waters of Northeastern Texas. And if you're really into that, the link is in the show notes.
Go Google it.
It mentioned quartz, but I don't know that there's anything specifically extraordinary about the amount of quartz in the area versus another area. And I'm also not sure that Saratoga would be considered northeastern Texas because Kim in her email specifically said southeast Texas. So I don't know that. I just wanted to basically tell you I did some research.
Google quartz near like railways because...
Well, right. Well, like that's what. Hey, let me finish this very last paragraph, and then So Texas and Arkansas are right next to each other. But when I look up Saratoga, it's closer to Louisiana than Arkansas. Yeah. In my head, I was like, what if they're all like right on the border together? Yeah. But they're not. Crossett is in the southern corner of Arkansas, but not on the Texas side. Okay. And then Crossett and Girdon are not all that close to each other. If anything, you could say that they're all reasonably close to Louisiana, right? But not all that close to each other.
I mean, Louisiana's as haunted as I'll get out. So,
but the thing I find most interesting is the railroad. It's like they're all around railroads. Yeah, it's so weird.
So they're like maybe back when the railroads were being made, like they were just like digging those spikes into the ground, like leveling things out to where they did hit certain things in the ground to where
it would release swamp gas or quartz.
Quartz, like maybe both, and to where the shock or whatever from the quartz hits the swamp gas and it like creates that. But I still like the haunted theory.
I like the haunted. Well, and also, like I said, it is fairly common for railroad workers to be hurt. Yeah. On the job. So the fact that there could be multiple. Yes. Like the fact that all the legends are the same doesn't mean that, that doesn't discredit them. Right. I just think it's really interesting.
And also, like, I've heard people say will-o'-the-wisps, are fairies and are spirits and are things like
that's what I was thinking earlier is like, what if they have just, like, scientists came up with this explanation?
They're like, oh, it's just gases.
Because it couldn't possibly be anything magical. Yeah. Because, like I said, they've only been able to recreate the will-o'-the-wisp effect
a couple of times.
A handful of times. So that's interesting to me, too. Yeah. They're not studying it real hard. Right. So I'm not sure they can really say. Yeah. So that's it.
I love those stories.
Ghost Yay. I thought it was great. Yay. Thank you guys for sending that in. I really, really love those. And if you have any story ideas for us, they can be anything in the world. Yeah. Like we've said, we want to hear every weird story you've got.
Oh, yeah. We love turning those into Tuesday side pieces.
You can email us at witchesmagicmurdermystery@gmail.com.
Shoot us an Instagram message, same place.
Or you can leave us a voicemail on Anchor.
Yeah, or something on Facebook, too.
We get messages all over the place from you guys, which is totally fine. Just keep on sending them. Okay, we'll talk to you later.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.